Now, returning to that major development on live cattle exports, with Indonesia drastically cutting imports from Australia, Alison Penfold is from the Australian Livestock Exporters Council, and she joins us now from Canberra. Alison, good morning, and thanks for making time for us. Did you expect a cut of 80%?
Look, no, indeed we didn't, and we're very surprised and frankly disappointed with the decision that's been taken late last week. It certainly will present some challenges, particularly around shipping for the industry, but we've been trading with Indonesia now for over 30 years. We've had our ups and downs, but we'll continue to work constructively with our customers and within the parameters that are set for the trade.
Well, this is a heck of a down. Why have they cut?
Well, look, as I said, this decision was only taken late last week. The reasons for it haven't been made clear to us. One thing, though, is clear, that this is simply a decision related to the trade. It's unrelated to other issues that might be going on in the relationship between Australia and Indonesia.
How is that clear, that it's entirely unrelated to those issues?
Look, there's been a range of debate going on internally within Indonesia. I don't wish to speculate on it too much, but certainly relates to different views about the numbers of cattle required to satisfy food security, and that's the only issue that's playing out in terms of this decision.
But how do you know that for certain?
That's certainly the discussions that we've had. Indeed, look, we've been having discussions with officials over the course of this year about looking at ways of maximising the true potential of the trade between Australia and Indonesia. There's a comparative advantage on our end to produce cattle, and on the Indonesian end to fatten and feed cattle. We think that annualised permits, rather than permits issued on a quarterly basis, is a far better way of managing the trade to meet ultimately the supply of fresh meat into wet markets across Indonesia.
I can see that would of course be much more preferable for Australian growers and farmers, but it seems to me, it seems almost illogical to try and divorce this very unexpected and massive cut, an 80% cut in cattle imports into Indonesia, from the very tense relationship that Australia now has with Indonesia in the wake of those executions of 2 Australian nationals, and also the issue over boat turnbacks. Doesn't that just defy logic to sit here this morning and say it's entirely separate from that?
No, it doesn't defy logic. Australia has a complex relationship with Indonesia.
And just to jump in there, as a consequence of that complex relationship, wouldn't you just expect it to pop up to some degree in our trade relationship?
Absolutely not. Not in terms of the live cattle trade. I'm firmly of the view that these are matters related to different views around the cattle necessary to meet food security. Now, others may wish to speculate and drag other issues in, but I am real to the way the trade operates. I'm real to the relationship, the means with which people operate within that relationship, and this is a matter around live cattle, around domestic production. It's unrelated to other issues.
So are you saying that domestic production in Indonesia is now becoming so substantial that they simply don't need to import, even with the growing middle class of Indonesia?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying there are different views around that. That may well be playing out in terms of this decision. But if I can focus on the reality for the trade, there are matters that are internal to Indonesia.
But that's what I'm trying to get to. Sorry to jump in. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm just a bit confused about matters that are internal to Indonesia, and you saying just discussions about what's needed in Indonesia in terms of imported meat. Well, that would seem to indicate that they're getting their supply either internally or from elsewhere. They don't need as much from us. That's the reason, is it?
Look, the importers requested some 200,000 head of cattle for this quarter. Now, the importers are close to the wet market trade. I think they're certainly of a view that there's a strong need for more cattle. There's significant infrastructure that's being built, and more infrastructure being built around feedlots in Indonesia to meet the growing demand for beef. Now, again, this decision was only only made late on Friday. We're still coming to terms with the decision. We haven't yet fully understood the basis for it. It certainly it plays differently to what we understood the quota system was attuned to, which was price in the wet market. And we're now hearing reports that the price is now reaching 150,000 rupiah per kilo when the government's price setting is around 75,000 per kilo. So there's clearly some issues playing out in terms of different views around the necessity for imports of live cattle. But for us, we've got 50,000 permits to deliver against.
Yep.
That's the challenge that the export industry will work to meet over the next 3 months. But we won't give up trying to have constructive discussions with officials around moving to an annualised permit system, which we think better suits the way the trade operates, the long production cycle and the long planning cycle necessary to support the trade.
Time is really cut, but just super quick. Do you think the federal government can be of use to you in this discussion with Indonesia now?
I think broadly strengthening the relationships between ministers is something that could assist the process, yes.
All right, good to talk to you this morning. Thanks for making time for us.
Thank you.
And now Michael has some very special guests for you.